Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 29 of Daffy's Roundtable and part 2 of Dark Days, a Blackout survival guide for fish and reptile keepers, with Jenn Haylor and Theo Tsangaris. Last week, we heard all about Jenn's experience through the blackout and what would be included in Jenn's survival kit. Today, you're going to hear about Theo's experiences during the storm and how he managed his fish and reptile room. It's a really good story, so I hope you're all excited. Before we jump back in, a quick thank you to the show sponsor Exoterra for making this episode possible. Exoterra makes quality products for our pet reptiles to make them feel at home. Okay, let's hear about Theo's 10 days in darkness.
Theo, take us away.
So my story begins one afternoon. I had plans to go to a birthday party to go mini golfing.
Wow, you actually remember where you...
I remember, like, I've got a terrible memory, but I remember that whole week very vividly. And so we were gonna go mini golfing. I remember someone saying, like, oh, it might rain.
It might rain.
It might rain.
They were calling for thunderstorms.
That's okay, we'll go mini golfing. This is raining, it's whatever.
Were you going mini golfing indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not afraid of rain. Like, I enjoy the rain. I'm water.
Exactly.
I'm elemental water.
It's in your blood.
So
The last water bender.
then the group chat, before we're meeting up, the group chat someone says, oh, it's really raining. And I go to the window and it's like, I don't know, like I had woken up from a nap, I think, so I don't know how valid these observations were, but like to me, outside had changed color.
Mm-hmm.
It was like sepia tone. It was, where I was, it was like yellow and raining so freaking hard. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not going mini golfing. And then the power goes out.
Mm-hmm.
The power instantly just...
Like right as you said that?
Like when I was looking out the window, I remember I was looking out the window and then the power goes out. And I was like, okay, like we go through power outages once in a while. Like we have got infrastructure, but it happens. I definitely did not expect it to be off for that long.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't either.
So we were like, okay, let's cancel our plans.
We'll go tomorrow.
Let's meet up and just play cards in the dark. And I remember after the rain, because it didn't even last very long.
No.
So not to jump, sorry to jump in, but so like I said, I was driving and I had to pull over and I was actually near Carlingwood Mall. So I ended up pulling over for like 10 minutes and then I drove to Carlingwood Mall, parked, and I stayed inside, supposedly to wait it out so I can drive home. And that whole period was about an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't last very long. It didn't stop raining, but the craziness or the tornadoes passing through and the crazy winds and everything was about an hour.
And at night, it was calm again.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember very funny, us walking probably 10 minutes down the road to my friend's house, and there were like roaming bands of men with chainsaws. And so all of the trees were down blocking the roads, and it was almost like, boys, this is the moment we've been waiting for.
Let's go.
Everybody get their toys and let's chop them. So like they were all very friendly, but it was kind of like, oh my god, like,
The masculine energy.
all these men walking around like, "Grr," and
They didn't have their generators going, but they had their chainsaws.
so that was that. We had a night in the dark, just playing cards.
Add chainsaws to the survival guide.
I was like, okay, stumble home late, be like, I'm gonna go to sleep, and the power's gonna come back on.
The first depression nap.
Yeah, no, I wasn't depressed at that point. Not more than usual.
No.
So, yeah, it didn't come back on for a long time. So I'll start by talking about how, like, my equipment, because my equipment is different than you guys. So the way that my facility,
I like that word.
Yeah, I know how you love that word.
I like that word.
My basement has a lot of aquariums. And then I have one room where I keep crested geckos, and then I have one room where I keep my ball pythons. And I don't have that many, or I've got a few crested geckos. I don't have that many ball pythons. I have them all in big terrariums, no racks. So they're all sort of separated by
subtle hit. Subtle shot in the dark. Anyway, go ahead.
Like I keep them because they require different conditions. So I was finding that when I had everything together, especially like the aquariums and the crested geckos and the ball pythons, everything would get too hot.
Yeah.
So the cresties were good, the ball pythons were good, my dog was good, I was reasonably good. My plants suffered a bit. My true losses, which I did lose some things, was in coral, because I am a reef keeper. I do enjoy reefer in more ways than one, and I lost about 1/10 of the coral in my tank.
I'm gonna jump in real quick and say that, like I said earlier, it's a very impressive fish room. There's a lot of very, very impressive freshwater tanks, but none of them hold a candle to these reef tanks. They were
Incredible.
They are to this day incredible.
And
They're art.
They've all rebounded, but yes, coral is different. It's an alien, and it's just so bright and so foreign looking. But yeah, so yep, I am dealing with different things than these lovely individuals. When you're dealing with water, you're dealing with chemistry. We are not really looking at the air chemistry of your terrarium. The water chemistry of an aquarium is the most essential part. And so one of my most important things were test kits, because I was keeping an eye on whether there were any changes in the chemistry. Of course, got the good old Jenny, my 3.5 kettle Jenny, and I love her very much, even though looking at her does make me a little bit PTSD a little bit.
Yeah.
If you got the Exoterra generator, I'm better off. Yeah. Somehow, some way, they're gonna see this episode and they're gonna make an Exoterra generator.
So, and then I've got my battery-powered air pumps, which I've had for a long time for short-term uses. I've got my, like, this is just the list of equipment that I find is useful. I have a controller on my saltwater tank that basically tells me temperature and other fluctuations, which I did want to keep going. Yep, extension cords, of course, very important. Good old flashlights. Flashlights are good. Perhaps the most important one, your wits. You gotta keep your wits about you. You gotta be like, I don't care how I'm feeling. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if any of this. My animals need me. I'm gonna do whatever I can and try to figure out any problem that I encounter.
Very true.
And last but not least, a sealed bottle of Jack Daniels. I did not.
In case of derecho.
I do enjoy a few drinks now and again. We're on Christmas, or right now. I remained dead sober for the entire period of time, because I kept waiting for the power to come back on, and I knew that as soon as the power came back on, I would need to do a lot of things, and I could not be tired.
Yeah.
But that bottle of Jack Daniels, that one is waiting.
waiting.
As soon as the power comes back on, you
That's it.
bust the bottle.
Yeah.
So that is what is in my guides.
That was your artillery.
Yeah.
Not artillery.
My kit, my arsenal.
Your arsenal. That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Did you find the battery packs? I'm looking into them now, and I had a lot of people asking about them during it. Do you find they work? Are there any that you suggest for fish keepers?
I would say that they are extremely important.
Yeah.
I almost regretted saying earlier that you don't need to store the water. Like, circulation of water is important. It depends on the capacity of the tank. If you've got a lot of fish, they're going to be consuming the oxygen really quickly.
Yeah.
Those are the go-tos. If you don't, like, some people can't have a generator for one reason or
No,
another.
for sure.
The little battery-powered air pump, very, very
How long do they last?
The one that
Are they batteries and chargeable batteries, or you're using actual physical batteries?
well, chargeable ones would be good, but you need to be able to charge them.
Right. That's what I was wondering. So it is
mine run off big
actual batteries. Okay, cool.
Which is actually better, because
which
you
is
can
much
have,
better.
You can
Yeah,
have them
of
on
course.
hand.
Mine ran for, I can't remember. I think it says 18 hours on the pack or something like that.
Not 10 days.
You'd have to replace the batteries. So yeah, the way I was using my power. My crustaceans don't need power. As we talked about automation, I used automatic misters. I went down to a hand mister. It's annoying, but it also gave me sort of flashbacks to back in
Back
the
when
old
we first
days.
started keeping reptiles, pre-misting.
Just misting my stuff. It was almost calming in a way. I kept my ball pythons heating pads on. I only have 6 adults and 3 babies that I'm holding back.
And they're like 8 to 20 watts each.
So not much.
Slow.
Not much.
So it didn't reach 1 kettle.
No, nowhere close to 1 kettle. My power was going to air pumps, because I didn't want to worry about that, and I couldn't be storing my tanks. I've got way too many
No,
tanks.
way too
many tanks,
So
yeah.
all of my air pumps were running. In the areas where I felt that heat was more needed than others, I was running heaters.
And this is all currently you're talking freshwater stock, right?
No, So let's talk freshwater. So
Yeah.
like.
But
air
was this a
pumps-
process you were going through, or did you already have know what
No.
you would have to? Like you were basically assessing as you were going.
I was moving on the fly on the second day. The first day I didn't even worry about it because I thought like, oh, the power's gonna come back on. And then I was like, I don't know when the power's gonna come back on. And then they started giving the crazy estimates of when the power would come back on, and be like, okay, I feel dread, and now I gotta get my ass in gear.
Yeah.
So freshwater, the pumps were going. Where I needed heat, say like apistos and like my cichlids and my sorority bettas, I used extra heaters. Heaters consume a lot of friggin' electricity.
He didn't know before this event, but now he does.
And the majority of my power was going to my saltwater tanks.
Yeah.
So I need to so in preparation, I also unplugged all my canister filters.
Okay.
A canister filter is a sealed container, and basically what happens during a power outage, all the bacteria in your filter dies. So the smart thing to do,
running.
no, it's not running. The smart thing to do is either drain it, or before you plug it back in, replace the water inside the canister filter, or else you will be spewing out a lot of dead material into your tank. You can poison your tank that way. So I unplugged all my canisters. As we talked about, cold-blooded animals, their metabolism slows down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not feeding at all, basically. Yeah. A majority
Are you talking only fish?
my cresties were eating.
You were giving cresties food?
I wasn't like.
You didn't feel the ball pythons?
Yeah, I might have fed the ball pythons. I can't remember, but
If they were hungry.
yeah, the babies definitely.
Yeah.
I fed, but the fish were not being fed pretty much.
At all.
Like the apistos, I would feed a little bit, but all of my live bears, I'm big into live bears now. They were just chilling, and I did not lose a single. I don't think I lost a single fish.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's funny. I remember pre-live bear days when Theo was keeping everything but live bears, and now he's all live bears.
Yeah, live bears and the apistos, and
Yes.
but like the plants, the cult of the plant.
Yeah.
The cult of the plant. But yeah, so my losses were in some more finicky plants. A lot of my stem plants can be finicky. They will lose leaves very quickly. I lost a lot of the leaves in the bottom of the plants, which when the power going back on, I just hacked off all the tops, replanted them, gave it a bit of a reset. Some things like Bucephalandra and Crypts, more sensitive plants, melted back, and even now, 2 months later, they're definitely not to their former glory, but they are growing back. Rebirth, yes. But some things did not rebirth.
Coral does not
A
rebirth.
majority of my power was going to my coral system. My coral system is two 75-gallon low boys side by side that are feeding into a big sump, 100-gallon sump. So it's three
a
tanks.
lot of water in there,
Three
yeah.
tanks are
I've never
circulating.
looked behind.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's functional.
It is pretty easy.
I was running all those pumps. I was running two 300-watt heaters. So two 300 watts. So that's.
Per low boy,
I run them both in my sump.
you run them both in your sump, okay.
That's overkill of heaters, but I like there to be no fluctuations.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't fluctuations of heat. But basically, in the sump, a lot of this I got to explain saltwater just a little bit. The sump is an area where you put like filtration and stuff like that. A big part of filtration for saltwater is called a refugium, which is an area where you are growing algae, like this big algae, not like little hair algae, like a big, thick mat of algae.
It's called Kato?
Kato.
Kato? Okay.
And so the algae is sucking. Algae grows real quick. It sucks up all the nutrients in the tank, and that is a huge part of the filtration. A lot of people run skimmers. I don't even need to run a skimmer. My tank runs like nutrient low because my algae, where I'm growing it, like not in the main tank but in the back, it's sucking up all the nutrients.
It's bioactive.
It's like bioactive.
It's like it's like a building an ecosystem kind of
Oh, for sure. For sure. So,
first time we talk about saltwater on Daffy's Roundtable. Sorry.
Yeah.
My problem came. I was not paying attention to the sump. I was paying attention to the main tank, and I was running a bit of lights, but my lights are powerful. Like my lights are like 500 watts each.
You have the AIs?
I have AI primes and I have radions, 2 different tanks, and they consume a lot of electricity. And if I were to run them, I was alternating them, so I was keeping track of everything, and everything looked to be going okay. I don't know if I'll ever really get down to the bottom of it, but the levels don't lie. Basically, the problem that I received was, good old frogs.
Yeah.
My Kato died. So my algae died, released all the phosphate into the water. Phosphate spike, stressed out the coral.
And stressed out Theo.
Stressed out.
I'm already stressed.
But that's
Even more.
I'm stressed listening to it.
So what happened?
honestly, I'm getting stressed
I
out. Right
am.
now.
I like that. In one back corner of the tank, I like these things called euphilia, which are the expensive broccoli. It is like a stick with like this big ball of like fluorescent flesh on the end. And they're beautiful. They're my favorite. They can be sensitive. And I saw one develop what's called brown jelly disease. I should have actually researched it, but I think brown jelly disease is like a bacterial infection, and it is something that will rip through your tank if not treated. So basically, it's like in the back right of the tank, one, and I was happy it was there, honestly, one got completely destroyed, and in a wave around it, the next wave around it was all ones that were like clearly sick and starting to curl up, and then the next wave around that was like starting to get sick, and then away from that, everyone was good.
I don't want to go any deeper.
The crazy thing is I've heard the story at least 3 or 4 times
And
now, and every time I get stressed.
Yeah.
And it's not stressful to me anymore. I'm sad that I don't know what corals feel like. They probably, I don't know if they feel pain or like they suffer, because corals can be good one day and just be a skeleton the next if you're not careful. But I made the choice, which after talking to other reef keepers was the good choice, of
Cutting it out?
decimating, and people use the word decimation wrong. Decimate means like to kill 1/10 or something like that. It was like a Roman thing. I made the choice of just killing the ones that were sick in order to save the rest.
And we're not talking about something that's $10 or $15 here. Like,
no, these are expensive things.
Yeah, not to put money on things.
like beyond the life cost of it. This is also
I have been to coral stores with Theo.
Like,
the prices would scare you.
I have accumulated coral over years, and a lot of these tanks, they can. No, with dosers and stuff like that, they can grow really quickly. And they're
But the ones that grow really quickly are the cheap
and
ones.
a lot of the coral that was there was all grown in the tank. Like you start with one little head, and in 2 years you have 30.
It's like magic.
So
that tank really is magic.
It sounds brutal me talking about it, because I'm not talking about a hamster or something like that.
No.
I'm talking about a coral.
The reefers all get it.
Yeah,
They get it. They feel my pain. But
they're all crying.
It's not like I'm killing a small animal or something. I could see this spiraling out of control to the point where I leave the saltwater hobby because I'm so sad. So I made the choice.
Because of this, what happened?
If I lost my whole tank,
you'd just be done.
I'd be a shell for a little bit. I do
That's hard to
have
start
a
over.
strong life outside of the hobby, but when you put so much energy and you put so much love and you just watch things grow, and to see all of that rot away.
If you lost all your cresties, would you get back into cresties? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. If you think about...
You chose the wrong animal to go with that example right now, because
But
especially where I'm at with Cresty right now.
But
I
it's a
agree.
species. If you
I agree.
all
I agree.
of one
If
species,
you lose, you know what it is? It's guilt. I wouldn't get back in because guilt. You'd be
Yeah.
like, it was my fault,
Yeah.
and I can't do
You
that to them
internalize
again.
that shit.
Yeah, it becomes a thing. I agree.
I lost a colony of isopods like not long ago, and I felt guilt, and I
Yeah.
felt very sad. Whereas like the coral, like I can't see pain on their face.
Mhm.
They
How
don't-
old is
all
this
their
tank
fin-
though?
Like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
That's a investment.
So yeah, it's been growing out. It's been growing out. It definitely took a hit to my own like internal economy because I could no longer sell coral for a period of time. But yeah, I made the choice one morning. It was like before work every day. I would go fill the generator, and like one day I just poured gasoline all over myself. The whole end came off, and I was like, okay, I am made of gas now.
No more water, just gas.
That's a liquid. But yeah, I would go down every morning and do like the check, walk around with the flashlight and be like, okay, you're good. Okay, you're good. Okay, you're good. And then like suddenly one morning the corals went from like being good to like,
Not good.
not good. So that morning I was like, I have seen this before, and I have heard the horror stories. So right then and there, it was a messed up day. Like I was messed up for days after, not just because of the power, but because I had to make this choice and do this with my own hands.
Sophie's choice.
Exactly, Sophie's choice. I chose. I took
Just
a bunch
for
of coral and put
the
it in
listeners and also me, because I don't know what that means. What is Sophie's choice?
Oh, you're so young. It's a movie.
Oh,
She's in during the Holocaust in a camp, has to choose between her children.
Yeah.
And life.
Well, he has to pick which child's gonna live.
It's between your two. Okay.
Which child's gonna live.
Okay,
I
okay.
choose which of my children live.
Okay,
Yeah.
basically. Okay.
It just
But-
literally means like you're trying to sacrifice one to save the other.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's exactly
the
what
ultimate.
I did. I took them out and I put them in the trash.
Oh,
You should have saved them and given them to me so we
No.
can make them cool
Too
little
painful.
taxidermy. I mean, yeah, I guess that probably is.
Yeah,
probably is too safe.
so,
I'm sorry,
yep.
Theo.
You're taxidermying his children.
I
Poor
went to
Sophie.
work that day and I was just like, I'm not good.
I had not heard this story.
Oh
This
my
makes
God.
so much more sense.
Oh, you hadn't heard this?
I haven't heard this.
Well, I guess we drove up to Expo together, so you were telling me on the way.
Yeah.
But
I went on my own.
So that happened, and then so not one. Now I've dealt with the animals or the coral, which are animals, but not the same exactly. That's like a small animal or a cresty or a dog. I dealt with that. Now I had to deal with the water quality. So at work, I bought a bunch of Purigen. Purigen is like carbon on crack, and it pulls out the nutrients super quick. I also, the thing about salt water, which is different than fresh water, you can't just hook up your python to the tap and start filling up your tank with tap water. It needs to be salt water. And with my corals,
You can say it. It's okay. With
My
your
fancy
fancy
corals.
corals,
My
you can
fancy
say
My
it.
children.
I forgot to mention, like I use a doser, so every day my tank consumes a certain amount of alkalinity, a certain amount of calcium, and a certain amount of magnesium, and the doser puts that exact same amount back into the tank. So when what I do for water changes, I use reverse osmosis water, strip everything out of the water, fill up a garbage can on wheels with this RO water, put in the salt to bring it up to the right salinity, and then after that I test the water to make sure to see where I'm at in terms of alkalinity, calcium, magnesium.
Saltwater people are dedicated.
How often do you do this?
Salt water you don't like every 3 months,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so long,
I
but
guess.
you like.
Were you doing water changes during the period? Sorry, I keep cutting you off. Were you doing water changes during this period?
Yeah, so I needed to do a
You
emergency
needed to do water change, okay, yeah.
So immediately I got ready to do the water change, and then you got to heat up the water. So yep, I did the emergency water change, and I was nervous for the next little bit, and I think I lost 1 or 2 after that, but the crisis had ended. And yeah, so after that, so that was the coral tank, and I honestly, like, I am a jack of many trades, but a master of none, or very few.
Master reef tank.
No, I am not. I am not a master reef keeper at all. The amount, like, people say like reef keeping is so much more difficult, so much harder. In some ways it is. In some ways it is than freshwater. And there's so many little, like, even in freshwater, even in cresties, all these things, there's so many little interactions that you're not seeing or not observing. I still consider myself, even after like 8, I don't know how many years in reef keeping, I consider myself a beginner. despite knowing how to grow coral and knowing how to keep it alive. I have a practical understanding of it. I don't necessarily understand all the little mechanisms because the chemistry is just off the charts.
It's so sciencey.
It is very sciencey. That was the coral, and everything has bounced back. If you look on my Instagram, I don't think I've posted a picture yet, but the corals are good right now, and I have learned. So my mistake that I can put my finger on is that I was not paying attention to the sump. I was not paying attention to the algae in the sump. I was just like, my corals, they're doing good, but it's a whole system. You gotta keep track of everything.
But you have to live it to, like I said, like I've had power outages before. I'm sure if I were to like be reflecting on power outages from 10 years ago, it would be completely different for me, right? Like you have to go through that to develop those systems.
I completely agree. No, and there was a sick part of it that not like the corals dying, but like it's a bit of like a chaotic joy to it, being like, this is not boring.
No,
like, I am like,
this is a hobby.
I am, and I don't know if I've said this metaphor before, but I very much felt like my house was like a ship on stormy waters, and I wasn't controlling the waves. I couldn't control the ocean. All I could do was make adjustments to the ship to sort of pilot it
through the storm,
so that it didn't sink.
Yeah.
And then the storm ended.
And then you did the repair.
Before the storm ended, I want to know, when did the flip from depression to a little crazy happen? And which day and what was the final straw?
It was probably day 6 or 7. I'm not sure. It was really just that I was waking at every point. I would wake up and be like, the power, every night I'd just go to sleep and be like, the power's going to come back on. And it just never came. It didn't come back on. And I know, like, I'm a drama queen. I'm a storyteller, but like,
it wasn't anything Reptile related then.
It made me feel a lot of emotions.
I think we all felt that it's going to come back on, and you wake up in the morning, it went back on, and you started the day with defeat a little bit because every morning it was that like, it's not back on. All right, what's up next?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of
Uber Eats and buying, like, the gas is so expensive.
Yes.
Like,
and some gas stations are
hemorrhaging
out.
money.
Yeah.
Some gas.
We were driving.
So my car was almost empty, and I was driving from gas station to gas station, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it. Like, I'm gonna stop in the middle of the street and have to leave my car here. Like, I don't know what to do. You know?
Like, this is basic supplies.
I did find the gas station, by the way. Oh, and the gas station I found had no regular gas, so I got premium gas at the price of regular. So there was some advantages.
There we go.
Yeah. So, yep. I the shift. I can't remember, but it's the willpower, the strength of will. Like, we've all gone through stuff in our lives. Like, this is definitely not by any means the closest to the most serious problem I've ever encountered by any means.
No, but it's serious for any animal
it's the
keeper.
biggest problem you've had in the hobby. Like, if we're looking at the hobby as its own, this is the most serious you've had in the hobby.
What else could go this wrong?
Yeah.
This is the same as having like an infection rip through your collection, or having like, there's other things that happen that
thrips go through your plant.
Yeah, thrips going through your plants. Like, in every hobby, you have these things that can happen that just throw you completely off kilter.
And this is it for that.
And this is it.
But from it, like, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, makes you smarter.
You learn.
Makes you
a better keeper.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, and then so it was somewhere around there. Like, and the thing was that the expo was that weekend.
Yes.
Like, we were
all
going
so,
down to Toronto for the expo. And so it was before the expo, and
we're all gonna buy animals.
Had your power come back in the expo? No, right? You came to the expo. It was still
I remember coming to pick
I remember coming to
absolute dark.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's crazy.
I switched. And this is like, I don't want to sound weird, but like, I wasn't like angry. Like, I never like lashed out or anything like that. I went into this like dark humor mode where I was like, I have no control over this. I just need to accept it. I'm trying my best.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah, que sera. And yeah, like there's all, like, people have pointed out, like, those pictures of me at the expo. Like,
Can we flash to a picture?
I will definitely put up a picture of the expo.
I'm not on ketamine at the expo. I
remember my wife being like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "It's Theo," and she's like, "No, it's not."
No, it's not. I've seen
And
Theo
I'm
before.
like, "No, that's Theo."
There's pictures of me where, like, I am just a shell of a human. And
That's what I think of when I think of that time in you. Like when I said a shell earlier, that's what I'm thinking of. I was like, "Where's Theo? He's here. He's not here."
I still enjoyed that experience, but
we had a good time that day.
We had a great
anyway,
time.
Yeah, and I needed that. I really did. And so, yep.
Well, that was kind of like the culmination of like you go through this experience and then you remember why you're in the hobby, right?
Oh,
like
for
then
sure.
you're out with your
It has
people
really solidified
and you're just
everything for me.
like, this is why we do this. Like
Yep.
it's not just about the animals. It's not just about the collection or the production.
It's
about
the community.
It's the community. It's getting together with your buds and like.
For sure. And yeah, so
Like-minded individuals.
yeah, like to conclude my story, like eventually the power did come back on.
10 days later.
He's not still living in darkness,
It was
people.
like
Yeah.
11:40 at night, and the power came back on, and
all the lights in the house were on.
Everybody's power came on in the middle of the night.
I left.
Mine came on really late at night too.
Yeah.
I turned all.
They
all-
timed it.
I turned all the lights on in the
Yeah.
house. I was like, "Fuck it!" Like
Jack Daniels
we-
came out.
yeah, exactly. Busted out the Jack Daniels. I also didn't talk about like I was taking freezing cold showers the whole
Yeah.
week. So talk about like psychopath.
Oh, we
like,
didn't even talk about that.
Like,
Yeah.
I was bathing in a Rubbermaid in my
Oh.
back deck.
So the first thing
freezing
I did,
cold water, and I was going in.
I had no water because the well.
Because it was true.
So the first thing I did, I turned off the generator because I don't like the noise. Like the noise was bothering me. It was bothering the wildlife outside. I don't really care about my neighbors, but it was bothering me a lot, the generator. So the first thing I did, obviously, turn off the generator, replug everything.
Yeah.
Next thing I did was take a shower.
Yeah.
Bring out the
hot water.
Jack Daniels. Take
You
a
had your
shower.
Jack Daniels in the shower.
No,
Kramer with his
He
salad.
probably did.
Oh, I definitely did. I take alcohol in the shower sometimes. I'm a hedonist. And
Jack
what's
Daniels.
that song? I played it so much. What's that song?
Oh, I put my, what was it? It's a Lizzo song.
Yeah.
Put
my...
Sing it
Yeah.
your version.
Overplay it right now when you're editing.
Yeah.
So I listened to that song on repeat for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
And-
your version of it.
So
No.
yeah, I did make So I had nice, like it wasn't it hadn't even my hot water tank hadn't even heated up yet, but I was having this like tiny bit of warmth shower, and that's what all I needed. And I started doing water changes, and this is where I coined the term the slow fill. I couldn't blast the water because the water wasn't hot. So usually what we do is we do everything in this life as quickly and most efficiently as possible. I was down in the basement until 6 o'clock in the morning enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Just reveling in the power.
Yeah.
I did this really, really slow water change to all of my tanks because the water was coming out like I was just consuming the hot water as it was being done. So I just did it as a trickle. And it was really enjoyable just to spend it back in that temple.
But
with,
not in darkness.
No, not in the darkness,
the
not in the
lights.
quiet, the warmth, just basking in it. When the power came back on, I was whole again because like me,
gonna be
like
okay.
I have roots. I have roots on my arms as a tattoo. Like I have
Stick
rooted
it up.
myself in the ground.
Show us the tattoo.
Yeah, like I'm a bit vain, but I am about roots. I am not a bird. My basement is my roots. It keeps me stable. When I'm at work, I can be like, oh, my plants are growing right now. So having that upended was a big sort of existential crisis, and having it returned to me was
Everything.
something so profound, like indescribable. And I am stronger from it, both as a human and as a fish keeper. And my reptiles were fine. I didn't have to do anything for them. It was my aquariums. And what I would do differently would be, just as you were talking about, really organize things so that I don't have to sort of struggle in the beginning, which I still have yet to do. That's pretty much it. Like, this was...
Based on Ottawa weather patterns, you have until September.
Well, they said that they would happen a bunch of times in the summer, and it didn't, so...
That's true. That is true.
We've been out without power 3 times.
Really?
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
Since
You
Mine,
might know
mine
the
turns
country.
on and off when it rains, but it does it for like turns off for like a minute, 2 minutes, turns back on.
We've had the
turns on
generator
for maybe a
out
minute, two,
once
and
since
turns-
then,
Oh,
where it
yeah?
was more than
Okay.
12 hours. So we had it
Interesting.
back,
You
yeah.
live in the country.
Yeah.
You live in like very like sort of far suburbs.
Close to the country.
I live more central, and my power is
No, it's not a.
So yeah. So basically, I don't know. Thank you guys for allowing me to talk. This has actually been therapeutic for me to just get it off my chest and to just relive it and just
Share the story
like,
with
all
everybody.
this stuff. Like, yeah, you just gotta try to laugh. You just gotta try to see the darkness, the dark humor in everything. Like, life is so messy. You just
And
gotta.
you can prepare all you want too. At the end of the day, your
That's
generator
true.
blows on the first day,
That's true.
and you like like literally like you can't be prepared for everything.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Like in that ship on the storm, like you don't know if a fucking kraken is gonna hit you. You're
Yeah.
like, you gotta be ready.
You gotta be ready. Like it's.
And if you want to be ready like Theo, the song is Good as Hell by Lizzo.
Yeah.
Play it over and over again,
I get my nails
that's the one.
done.
But Theo doesn't say I get my nails done. What do you say? I check for snails.
I check for snails.
That was the meme.
Scuds.
I didn't even. Yeah. So that song.
Oh, was that a meme? Okay.
I haven't listened to it in so long because I overplayed the shit out of it. But like my house was just blasting it for like into the night.
Oh, it was like for everyone. All the.
Yeah, everyone was.
We were
happy
just
about
flushing toilets because we couldn't flush toilets the whole time.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
we're on a
you were
septic.
saying-
We were just
oh,
flushing
flushing
toilets for like. We're
Get
just
it going,
like,
get it going.
Flush those toilets. Flush them 10 times in a row. Enjoy the little things when you have it, and
Yeah,
exactly.
appreciate what you got, and
Yeah.
don't take shit for granted.
Mhm.
And but on the other hand, turn off the power, turn off your phone, read a fucking book once in a while.
Mhm.
Like there is life outside the power, but when you're keeping the animals from different countries, different environments, like they're on a little spaceship. You got to keep them. It's your responsibility
Keep
to keep
them
them
going.
alive.
yeah.
So that is my story.
Thank you for sharing with
I
us.
am
Theo.
drinking now.
Cheers.
I'm
Cheers.
empty, but I will still.
Would you like a refill? Cheers. So, on that note, first of all, thank you both for those incredible stories.
Thank you, Fatty.
I wish I'd suffered more.
You,
I'd be a better person.
you would have changed more.
I would. I don't have this depth anymore.
That's honestly, after hearing that, I'm like, maybe I should have gone through some more
I
hardships
know.
too.
Like.
No, honestly, I take back what I just said. I'm very
no.
thankful it didn't happen. I'm sorry that it happened to you, but I guess you're okay with it. And yeah, this is wood.
Yeah.
um,
Particle board.
but yeah, I guess I think everybody now knows that they need a generator, so maybe we'll wrap
Have I
this up here.
stressed that enough?
Yes.
Do you think I really got the generator across?
Exoterra generator on the way.
For a big collection. But
Yes.
if you're running small stuff, like there's other ways to go about it. It's just it's good to have
Just know
the
what your plan
thoughts.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Know what your
Just
plan
that's-
is.
think about it.
And okay, and so on a final note, let's go. We'll go Jen and then Theo. So, Jen, on a final note, for a big reptile collection, if you could say top 3 things to have in your survival guide, survival kit, what would they be?
So always going worst case, your styrofoam box with heat and cooling
And the generator.
and the generator, but like moving beyond the generator, I'm a little fixated on my generator. But like having your heat pads, your heat packs, your cool packs, preparing for both of those situations. For always preparing for the worst case of I have to pull my animals out and keep them alive. Like to me, that's like essential to have
More
on.
important than anything else.
If you don't ship, you don't have these things. So it's good to have. People get animals in Reptile Express boxes and then just toss the box.
Yep.
Like keep the box, throw some heat packs in it, put it in a closet. Extension cords, good extension cords.
Yeah.
Like I know I had neighbors that were hooking up to other neighbors' generators
Because of extension.
because of extension cords. So like literally like, and it's expensive. It's a big investment, but like having good quality extension cords that you can pull out and reroute. I have to come up with a third thing.
You don't have to if you don't. You can't think of anything. But like yeah, no, you don't have to. If those are the top 2 then.
Yeah, and I think my third thing is just a plan. It's just like
Plan
a
that can be
plan
one.
can
Yeah.
like I just stand in front of your collection and think.
What would I need
Yeah,
to do
and
if
like
power cut
yeah,
off?
and like it's easy to say you should spend the time rerouting all your electricity and stuff. Like we've said, it's hard if your collection's already set up. But like just standing in front of your collection sometime and just like
Turn
okay.
off all the power.
Yeah, and
and
just
say,
think
how would I-
and just
yeah.
think like just have a plan like so that when it comes down to it, you know, like for Theo, like immediately like the coral, like just kind of having those identification this in your brain of like what it is that is essential, so that you know where your attention is going in. Because we have to keep in mind there's people who lost their roofs.
Yeah.
Like, as much as this was terrible and
Yeah,
like we're
yeah.
talking about that, there are literally
Of course.
people, I'm sure there's keepers
Yeah.
who lost their roofs.
And
like
the farms where you lose your
Yeah.
livelihood.
Yeah.
like so like for those people, like
was
being able to
way
pack
worse.
their animals up and get them out quick is important.
Mm.
So I just, you know, just having a plan, taking some time to think about it, and, you know, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. Okay. And Theo, on more of the fish side, so like, you know, both saltwater and freshwater, top three things.
Yeah, so, well, the first thing that's going to do aquariums in the fish in the aquariums is lack of oxygen. So having some type of method to put oxygen into the tank is important.
Not the whisker.
That can be done. No, dude, that can be done. The battery-powered air pump, most important thing. Or a very important thing. If you don't got that,
And generator.
they all sell out. Yeah, of course. The Jenny, like, yeah, if you can do that,
Even
do
a
it.
3 cattle Jenny is good.
He's given her a nickname already.
Other than that, like with stirring the tank, that's important. Or you that can be done.
Even for your mental, like,
Yeah.
to feel you're doing something.
Yep. Like other people do things like they'll just do water changes. They'll like put a bucket, and just by adding new water to the tank, you're adding oxygen. The next is monitoring temperature. If the temperature drops too low for too long, that can cause problems with animals. So having any of these tools to monitor temperature, parameters, we can't monitor oxygen. You basically gotta like just look at them and be like, oh, are you gasping at the top? Okay, you're low on oxygen. So being able to tell when the temperature drops too low for too long, then unfortunately it's difficult. You probably do need power for that, or some people do if you still have hot water with like a gas, whatever, mine's electric, but gas hot water heater or something.
Or a kettle.
Or the kettle but you need electricity. Just try to keep the heat up. So just always with aquariums, it's keeping track of the parameters.
Being able to know what it is.
Yep.
Having the stuff on hand.
Yep. And
Because not everyone works at a pet store can go pick it up.
it's true. And
the pet store can be out of
honestly, a bottle of whiskey is important, but a good sense of humor and perseverance and willpower. This will get you through life's challenges, I believe.
Most
And,
importantly, the bottle of whiskey, but yeah.
that'll help with all three of those. So yeah, just keep going. Don't give up.
Reach out to your community.
Exactly, the
That's-
community, the lifeblood.
I think that's a big one, yeah.
And it's the electricity running through the veins of the community. Like it's all of the love in the community. Like a lot of my friends were reaching out, saying like, "Come shower at my house." Like just chill.
Those
So-
1 a.m. messages back and forth that we're
trying
just
to figure out what we do. Yeah.
and we're just like referring to them in past tense. Like, oh yeah, they put the generator, but that stuff like keeps you going.
Yeah,
like it just
absolutely.
We're social animals. and
Yeah.
that's a part of this hobby. Is it connects us all. Like I used to hang around primarily with normal people.
Normal
Our
people.
parties now are just so amazing, hanging out with all the reptile and fish people, because we have so much to talk about. Like
we're all so weird.
Yeah,
So
we
true.
are weird.
So true.
And not just about talking about the community, but like, I don't know, we have a good time with each other, and that is important. I know some like friends are key.
My daughter has said to me several times, "How do you make friends like that?"
Yeah.
And it's always like, oh, it's so true. Like, how do you make friends like that? Like,
Honestly,
it's the
yeah.
community. It's
It
the
really is, and
it
it's
brings
not
you
like
together in a
I've had like number of different hobbies, like, and been, you know, I've seen friends with different hobbies, and like I don't think there's, and not to talk us up or anything, but I don't think there's really a community like how the reptile and fish community is. It's
Yep.
it's the love of animals, you know.
Love it or not, Critter Jungle is what has brought us all together.
Agreed.
Like that.
no Cabot.
Cabot
You
brought
two
us
met
together.
otherwise, but I met both of you in those damn aisles.
And those fish aisles.
And
Yeah.
we have grown quite a bit out of that store, but that store, like it or not,
Remains
is,
home.
is our heart.
Yep.
So yeah, all of those things are my three things.
Those things, including Critter Jungle.
Yes.
And the community. No, that's awesome. No,
Did
yeah,
I mention
that's-
the generator?
You did mention
Okay,
the generator,
I was
but we'll
thinking-
mention it one more time.
I
Good
was
old
thinking-
Jenny. No, that's three great choices from both of you. Even though I don't know if all three of them count as choices, but I'll let them slide this time.
We pass.
We pass. Yes. Thank you both, first of all, very, very much for coming on and telling everyone your story once again. Quick side note. All three of us are going to be at the CRBE, which is the Canadian Reptiles Breeder Expo, on September 17 and 18. So make sure you come down. If you see us there, come say hi.
Let us know you're going to show up.
Let us know you're going to show up.
There's gonna be fish there apparently.
Yes.
Theo's like, yes, finally.
And small animals, isn't
That
it?
is true, yeah. So it's not only going to be the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo this time, there's also going to be the Canadian Aquatic Expo, and then there's the Canadian Pet Expo.
It's like all the things.
It's all the things.
And Keyjack is happening there as well.
The same
which is
weekend,
the
yeah.
pet store like syndicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is gonna be a big event.
Yeah, this is not like the others. And the others are awesome.
It's
if
gonna
you've
be a lot
watched
of fun.
Fadi's videos, they're amazing. But like, yeah, it's going to be.
It's going to be even bigger, even better, even more
We
fun.
get tingly every time we
even
talk
more.
about it.
Honestly, I'm already getting goosebumps.
I
I'm getting
know.
excited. We will be there the whole weekend.
Yes.
So it is going to be a lot of fun. Once again, I'm going to shout out Critter Jungle. If you're in Ottawa, you're looking for reptile supplies, fish supplies, or even small animal supplies, dogs, cats. But if you're just looking for knowledge, information,
The cult of the plant.
the cult of the plant. I'm
We
sorry,
got
I'm
lots of
sorry, I
plants.
forgot the plant queen. We have
We
lots of
got
really,
plants.
really cool plants. Actually, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this chat. I'm gonna call it out. I'm sorry, every other plant store, every other place in Ottawa. We're the only place that sells dart frog related plants. So if you're looking to set up a dart frog tank, you're not gonna find plants for them anywhere else. Come to Critter Jungle.
We also ship Canada wide now for animals,
Yes. So
Not fish.
not fish.
not yet.
Reptiles. Reptiles.
reptiles, amphibians, plants, all of that. So yes, once again, shout out Critter Jungle, and then from there, Jenn, J. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, JHayJay, JayHayJay.
It'll be somewhere here,
Yeah, it's.
or in the show notes.
Can you get it right on my hand so it looks like I'm juggling it?
I probably can't, but
yeah,
let's say I can.
Yeah, you can always find me on Instagram. Like I said, a lot of people ask me questions during the power outage and stuff. I love helping people out. It's a whole mismatch of plants, reptiles,
Spiders,
sometimes
plants,
cabbit,
cabbit.
and
Most
yeah,
importantly, cabbit.
most importantly cabbit. But yeah, so
highly
absolutely.
knowledgeable source and a great person, of course, but highly knowledgeable source. Always happy to help people out.
Lots
So
of
if
plant
you are
stuff, lots of
looking
bioactive
to answer
stuff.
questions, JHayJ on Instagram, and very possibly other places soon, including here. Stay tuned for a very cool episode where the debut episode of Jenn.
He's pulling me into the technological
yes,
future
exactly.
of
So
you
will-
can't just exist over on Instagram.
You
Jen.
will be on other platforms very soon, and this, I think, at this point goes without saying. Mr. Theo you will be seeing him again, both very soon and many more times. Theo,
We're cooking something up.
we're cooking something up. Can you let them know where you can find him?
Yeah, so unlike last
You will
time,
be.
I have started Instagram.
Yes, last time you had me. Yeah, yes,
Unlike
true.
these titans, I got 150 followers.
Yeah.
So
Ballin'!
it's August right now. In September, I return to Teachers College. I will not be at the
Rapid.
store as much, so I get a sick pleasure out of helping people with fish tanks and stuff like that. I'm gonna miss it. If you got questions about fish, feel free to ask me. I will give you my unbiased, honest.
Very knowledgeable once
on
again.
these things. So yeah, if you have ever got questions, feel free to shoot them to me. I have seen a lot of fish.
There's two teachers here. We'd love to educate.
Yes, exactly. So yep.
Nature State 7.
Yeah. Last time I said, you don't find me, find yourself. But I don't have much of a cool line as this time. But
This time find him, Nature State 7.
Yes.
yeah, come find me this time.
He's ready to.
You found yourselves, now come find him.
He's ready for it.
Yeah.
Sell out.
So yeah, much love.
I love that. And so to close it all off, number one, go get yourself a good old Jenny.
Yes.
Number two, if you're looking for
Free kettle
isopods or anything like that, dzdsreptiles.ca. I'll put it somewhere, show notes or here once again. Number three, shout out to Exoterra for sponsoring the show,
Woo.
as always. And number 4, I am Daffy's Reptiles on all platforms. Daffy's Roundtable for the podcast. Give me a follow. Give these beautiful people a follow. And we will see you all on the next one very, very soon.
Awesome. Should we clink with our empty beers?
Clink with empty beers. Yes. Cheers. Thank you, guys.